So I finally got to see the new My Hero movie in theaters, actually. And let me also say that I already knew everything about this movie coming in. I had made a video about it a couple months ago, going over the entire summary that Audrey had provided because she was able to see it when it aired in Japan. So there wasn't like big surprises for me coming into this one other than just seeing it play out. And I honestly don't think that's like soiled my experience or anything like that. So just keep that in mind for what I'm about to say, because I think this movie is pretty meh. And I say meh and not mid, because mid has kind of lost its meaning. And I don't think it was just me that was kind of flat on this movie. It seemed like the entire audience I was with felt the same way. In fact, the only time they actually reacted to the movie was when like one of the characters they like came on screen. Like if Bakugo came on screen, you know, people would, you know, cheer or whatever. But other than that, very little reaction. Like, you know, in the ending sequence, it was just silent. And I have a feeling that like after the movie was over, if I were to ask a majority of the people in the theater like what the exact plot was, they wouldn't have really been able to tell me. And I think a big part of that is a large part of this movie is, and I say this with all due respect, kind of boring. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad movie or anything. It's just kind of lackluster. Like it's like a C+ effort. And that might be because of the work schedule. This movie was made by Bones, who also made season 5 this year. So they had quite the work schedule. And I wouldn't be surprised if that led to this, you know, lackluster effort here. So I don't want to put any of the animators or any people that were in like the ground floor of making this movie. But with all that being said, this is the weakest My Hero movie by far. And let me just quickly go over the plot. And this is just off the top of my head. I'm not even looking it up right here. There's this terrorist organization called Humorize that is trying to rid the world of everyone with quirks in an effort to stop the quirk singularity. So the big three of 1A who are interning with Endeavor are tasked with taking this down because they're just coincidentally in the same place where the majority of this stuff is happening, Otheon. But also this guy, Rhodey, gets tangled into the whole thing, and his dad was involved with Humorize, and it eventually leads to him meeting Izuku, and they have like this buddy duo thing going on for most of the movie. And they work together to try to stop Humorize from killing all the quirk people, while also trying to save Rhodey's little brother and sister in the process. And that's the movie pretty much. It just seems like a waste of a My Hero movie because it takes away everything that makes My Hero special. There's only a handful of characters in this movie that get any kind of development or screen time or anything really. It's like Izuku, Rhodey, Bakugo, Shoto, and then there's like a tier 3 of characters who get some airtime, and then there's like a tier 4 where everyone is fighting to even just get one bit of dialogue. Like that's one of the unfortunate aspects of this movie, is that hardly anything substantial really happens. And when it does, you know, we only get like a brief moment of, and it's mainly at the end. Like the majority of what makes this movie good happens in the last 20 minutes. So if you were expecting something like the first movie, which is incredible, the best My Hero movie by far, one of the best anime movies, period, but it's just not that. Like the other students, the other characters are hardly in this movie. Other characters, period, are just hardly in this movie. The villain, don't even get me started on him. And I don't even think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but I think he is on screen for a total of maybe 8 minutes. And that being said, he's just as hollow of a character as you'd think he is. And his henchmen are even worse. Like they don't even get names. Like this is the weakest set of My Hero antagonists by far. Not on the power scale. They're all stupidly broken and their quirks don't make sense, but that's another story for another time. But let me go over some of the good aspects of this movie. So the animation is top notch, of course, even with this hectic schedule that they had. You could tell that they put some effort into this. There are some wonky sequences. There's like this helicopter sequence that looks kind of funky, and it made me think like, oh, that's why they use CGI sometimes. And there's some really, you know, amazing Sakuga sequences in this for sure. And Izuku has some really cool sequences. Just the ending sequence, I won't spoil anything, but the ending sequence is amazing. And it really made me feel like I didn't waste my time sitting through this movie. I really enjoyed the ending sequence for sure. Also, it's pretty violent. Like Bakugo and Izuku lose the most blood they've ever lost best in the series. So overall, I would say that if you're a big fan of My Hero and you've been itching to see this movie, go ahead and watch it. Heck, even go watch it in theaters. Why not? Maybe you'll have a good time. Maybe you'll get lucky and have a good crowd. But if you're kind of like on the fence about this, maybe just wait for it to come on streaming. Or if you kind of have like a FOMO relationship with this movie, don't even worry about it. You're not really missing anything. It's not integral to the plot at all. So overall, I'm gonna give this movie like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10, somewhere around there. It's not bad, but it's just kind of underwhelming. So now I just want to go into some spoiler stuff. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen, check out. So going back to the villains in this movie, or should I say lack thereof, it's a very interesting assortment and they have good quirks, but they just have no substance to them at all. I like the archer lady and I think she probably should have stuck around more. Actually, she should have probably been in the main series. She's has a good design and a good quirk, and I think she could have went farther. And also I kind of liked her death in this movie. It catches you off guard. And then we have like the twins that fight Bakugo, and then the demon guy or whatever he is that fights Shoto. I don't know where to start or end with this guy. What even is his quirk and why does he have all of the abilities that he does? I know that he took Trigger, but what even was it inherently? It just kind of bothers me. Like before this movie, I used to give Chimera crap for his quirk being kind of broken and nonsensical, but now it's like he's not even offensive anymore. This guy takes the cake. And there's also like another demon guy who only is around for like a 1 minute scene. And then Fleck Turn himself is just such a forgettable villain. His quirk is weird and very, very specific to be a foil to Izuku, clearly. I mean, it's cool, but the execution of it and Fleck Turn himself is just meh. I mean, to be honest, the only reason I know this guy's name is because they say it like 4 times in the first 5 minutes of the movie and we see it on the screen. And then getting into the final sequence of this movie, like I said, I absolutely loved it. The United States of Smash from Izuku, or I think he says something different. I think he says like the United States of Smash World or something like that. Winds up like delivering it with a kick. It just looks very, very good and very satisfying. But even before that, he does like the super fast Gatling punches thing. That looked really good too. It just made me happy that they had like a safe landing with this movie. To be honest, I like this ending more than the Heroes Rising ending. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about this movie if you're able to see it. And if you like the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.